Good evening, Sports Insanity Network. It's Marco Dottai Halpern here for the Sports Insanity Network. Well, we have finally found a way to change everything up. And before I do, I'm going to say something, and if I butcher this, he's going to know it. Shalom, ani Mark Naim Meod, Lacher Otayach, and Shalom, ani Mark Naim Meod, Lachaker Ota. That is the best about a Hebrew I've been able to speak since I was 13. Basically, for my American friends, I was just saying hello, what my name is, and it's pleased to meet you because Omer's going to share this with some friends. And now let's introduce him. Next to me is literally the longest, closest brother. Now, this is no offense to other people that I refer to as brothers. I have known this young man. My God, he's as old as I am. I've known this man for better than 40 years of my life. We grew up next door. Mr. Omer Barzilai coming to us from Israel, and we have decided. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. As he and I are both opposites, and I know right now Dan is pumping his fist and Bill's pumping his fist, but Mike sees I got the City Field emblem up, so they'll love this. Yes, Omer is a very big Yankee fan, but Mr. Omer Barzilai, welcome to the Sports Insanity Network. Thank you for coming on.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I've been following you guys for the past year, 2 years, and it's just so happy to finally be able to literally be next to you, even if it's in a virtual way.
Yeah, I mean, when Omer moved, when he moved here, we would send packages back and forth that contained Beckett's and some
Oh my
cards
God,
and
it's
stuff and some
crazy.
letters. Then it got a little bit dicey when stuff changed over. Then we did we got phone, and then we got Facebook, and now we're might be completely coast to coast here on the other side of the world, but we have found the time to meet and talk. And the purpose of this is for everybody to get an idea of what's it like in Israel for American sports. Now, Omer is a very big Yankees fan, to my dismay, a diehard Giants fan, to my dismay. He is a Knicks and Rangers fan, so we give him a pass after that. Um, Omer and I played throughout the years, whether it was baseball, football, anything we could do, sledding in the snow. And now we're here 40 years later. What would our mothers think?
Oh wow, I don't think they'd believe us even if we'd show them a video. They think this is some
I
kind of AI generated recording.
exactly as Omer's mother and my mother were very good friends, along with his father as well, and his sister Yelet, God bless her, with 6 kids. And let me tell you, I have not been more excited to do a podcast in my life than I was today. And we're going to get started. And we know what it's like here for American baseball. We know the stadium's filled. But for Omer, times are different. I believe it's a 7 hour difference.
Yep.
7 hour difference. So when most games are broadcasting here at 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, it's the middle of the morning for Omer. Do people get
Right.
together actually to watch games in the middle of the morning if it's a big time game?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, a lot of us, for instance, football gets a little easier because it's once a week. So games are at 1 o'clock in the Eastern, time zone. So it's like 8 o'clock here. And then we watched it on 2 in the morning. People like me, we stay up 24/7, watch, till Monday night, and then we sleep on Tuesday. But yeah, when it comes to baseball, so there are kind of groups of people. There are those who are more diehard fans, those who will wake up to see like the Baltimore games that we're losing these past 2 nights, which was kind of hard to watch and wake up. But a lot of us, will wake up at 5, 6 in the morning, see MLB pass, we'll see the games condensed or stuff like that. Because it is hard to wake up to work and or the kids and stuff like that. And we ask each other in the group chats not to ruin things for us, especially if it's like playoff season. For instance, the Knicks.
Aha.
The Knicks was a hard one to watch
Oh,
this last
tell
night.
me
Yeah, that
about
was
it.
a hard one. But so and then there are the religious people who don't watch on Friday, Saturday. Me personally, I'm not, but the religious people who ask also usually not to talk about things in the chat. And everyone's from different areas. So a lot of we have people from Detroit, from Canada, from California, Florida, and everyone roots for their teams. It's a little less crazy, I guess. I remember us, Giants in Dallas would be literally, shooting each other down. But on Sunday football here, it's a little less. I mean, it's not as bad. I mean,
Okay.
but it's definitely gets intense, when it hits like playoff season. Everyone gets crazy, a little crazier.
Now,
Um,
for the national team, when I say national team, I mean in America we all have about 1,000 teams. I take it there's a big following for the Yankees, as you and I have talked over time. There's a
right,
very
right.
big following for the Yankees over in Israel,
In
and
general, I think
obviously you're one of
internationally,
them. Even
internationally, I
and you're
think
one
there's a
of
lot.
them.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any other teams that get a big standout? Is there any other like one particular team that gets talked about more than another? Just out of
I think the
curiosity.
Dodgers. I think the Dodgers because of LA, because it's a major city, gets talked about a little more because people are either from the West or the East Coast. Usually, when they do relocations from Israel to the States, so a lot of people, and a lot of Boston, but I don't really talk to Boston people because I hate Boston in general. So I don't really know.
Everyone
Yeah,
in the network here is just pumping their fists when they see that.
exactly. Boston's a tough. It doesn't matter if it's the Patriots, the Red Sox, the Bruins, or the Celtics. We all hate them. But so I really don't have any friends who are Bostonians, or whatever they call themselves. So other than that, I would say the Dodgers are more of a team. Again, a lot of people go with Yankee gear here because of the symbol itself, sort of like the symbol like Nike in the end, right? It's something that everyone knows and everyone appreciates. So
Mhm.
I think that also kind of helps the Yankees to become, something that's like a known.
And as Israel has their Olympic team and has been featured by coached last year by ex New York Met Jeff McNeil. I almost said Jeff McNeil. Ike Davis, former New York Met. See, no, they didn't call Yankee. They called for a Met to come coach the team. Baseball in Israel has gotten very popular over the last couple of years after the last two Olympics. The Israel baseball team is composed of former MLB players, as I had
Right.
mentioned, Ike Davis. But what is it like for now baseball for Israel to field the team in the Olympics? And we got the Olympics coming up in a few months, so
Right.
and we know baseball is a part of it. So what is the Olympic vibe of baseball in the country itself?
Well, baseball's a little hard for the country itself to really people grasp it. It's a long game. It's something I think baseball is a culture. It's less, of a sport. And I think when we in the US you grow within a culture of having baseball during the summer. There's really no other sports. So like, it's going to the games, it's being part of something. It's being part of like a fan base and stuff like that. And you grow into it. And so a lot of people who are Americans here, a lot of Americans have relocated to Israel and a lot of New Yorkers, a lot of people from Brooklyn. So yeah, you do get a lot of those people who have kids and then their kids really enjoy the baseball and they have teams growing and even football now is starting to they have a football league here in Israel. But I know soccer is still the main sport here in Israel and everyone in the end that's what they're growing up with and it's a lot more of a of a culture sport here in Israel. But people have definitely, the fact that we've made the Olympics, the fact that we're part of the Olympics, the fact that you have Jews all of a sudden also in sports. There's the Vikings kicker that we all know
Yes.
about, and the fact that it's sort of like the Japanese making the baseball. Once there are a couple of Israelis maybe hitting MLB, it'll become a little stronger here. hopefully. I know my son, he spoke to me that he wants to start playing baseball. He
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's
so I
great.
mean, so yeah, I think, they see it, they understand it. It's just not as strong as it is, I think, in the US,
Okay.
obviously. Also the size, in the end, we're a lot smaller, you
Well,
know?
yes, understood. I mean,
Yeah,
growing up here, soccer was really one of the bigger group sports that you could really get part of when you would join the AYSO hashtag not a sponsor. And I have to do that. And soccer is a great way for them to get ways to meet their friends that they go to
right,
school with and stuff like that. And we went through the soccer phase and we
right.
went through the little league phase and the basketball phase. The difference was this guy is still taller than me. So
Nah,
basketball, I will not say I had a chance. He dominated me every time. Basketball was his. Um, Getting back to
football
baseball.
was yours, though.
Yeah,
You had
football
the
was
arm.
mine. We're
You
we're
had the
gonna get to
arm.
the big topic at the end. We're gonna save the big topic for at the end.
Right.
Um, my next question for you is there okay, so as I do, I'm a sport card dealer still, believe it or not. That's what I do. I buy and sell baseball cards. You know, is there a is there any type of baseball card shop, LCS shops, or ways to get trading cards in Israel? I'm curious. I didn't
So,
even think of
yeah,
that
so there
until
are,
five
like,
seconds ago.
so my son, like, he collected soccer cards more than baseball cards, right? So again, it's coming back to, like, what's the main sport that's kind of like really, really followed here in Israel and the fan bases. And, obviously people know who Ronaldo and Messi are, and less know who Trout and Judge are. So there's really less. I mean, when I moved to Israel in '94,
Yes.
then right. So then I remember me going to, a few sports cards places, and and back then there was what, like Beckett Tops, Donruss, and whatever. Today you have like 50,000 different types. But
Yeah.
and also today, a lot of people doing NFTs, and all that stuff also. So that's kind of taking it out. So yeah, when it comes to collectibles, I don't think it's as much as it is in the US. I mean, I love the part that I love going to White Plains and going to those, card
The card
festivals
conventions.
or
Yeah, we used to
whatever,
all the
the
time.
conventions. Yeah, I mean, I have cards to today. My son, he goes through my basketball cards and my baseball cards all the time. He found a
Just send
Shaquille
me all
O'Neal
the
rookie card.
80s. Just send me all the 86 Fleer Jordans. Just send me all of
So he found the Shaquille O'Neal rookie card that I didn't even know I had. I was like, "What?"
them. See,
I'm
that's
like,
Charlotte's been looking through boxes of old stuff. And she says, Dad, I'm like, damn, that's actually worth a couple of bucks.
"Yeah, it's
It's
40 years later, It's crazy, but things get valued at the end, I guess.
right.
Who knew it?
So as I mentioned, Omer and I grew up pretty much opposite, right next to each other, but with a
Right,
line
yeah.
divided down the middle for Yankees and Mets. Now, Omer's a very big Yankees fan. And what is your take on the Yankees team this year? I don't know how much you've and how many games you've seen, but I know you follow them very
No, I
closely.
watch I see every game in the end. It's either condensed or I wake up to watch. I always see every game. There's no way I
Oh,
won't
okay.
watch a game. I'll always watch the games. A lot of times I'll do workouts and I'll see the condensed, like, 20-minute, 30-minute, 40-minute game, whatever it is. Yeah, I won't go through every single 3-hour watch, but I was really concerned about the pitching, and all of a sudden I'm actually concerned about the hitting. The pitching is actually looking better, and uh, these past two games, literally, I don't know what, Verdugo had a baby, so what? That's it. The hitting left. I mean, I don't know. Something's crazy with the whole fact that Judge came out he's under 200. Soto's really, him and Volpe are basically our offense. More or less on the day to day that you can really rely on. Um, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard, to win games when you're supposed to be scoring 6 to 8 runs and you're scoring 0 to 2. I mean, and our pitching. I mean, we got the Cy Young on the bench, and we're still somehow, one of the top ERA teams. So, I mean, I'm really happy about that. I guess once the hitting comes around. Rizzo's finally coming around, getting AL Player of the Week. That was kind of nice. And I guess our middle, kind of like our middle relief, is also kind of problematic. We got a reliever, but getting to him has kind of also been kind of hard. We've kind of been, kind of stressing out those 7 to 8 innings. But it's watching Yankee baseball. I love it.
Y-
Even when
You know,
Mattingly and we were by ourselves in the stadium, I love it. So
you know, now we're going to flip it to my side. He's going to have a comment because he follows closely in sports. Now you got the New York Mets, and I'm going to put it up to the same way he did. Pitching was our number one concern going into this season, as well as, especially with Kodai Senga going on the 60-day DL with that capsule in the shoulder. And then they pieced together a team, a rotation, sorry, not a team, a rotation that has been doing quite well. And Mets are not doing as well as the Yankees right now. I mean, the Yankees are literally sitting at the top of the AL East Division. The
no,
Mets are
they're
in
no,
third
not.
place. Well, I'm
We
sorry.
lost 2 games to Baltimore, so we're kind
Oh,
of
that's right. So now you dropped out. My bad.
yeah.
But they're still at the top of their division. The Mets are in the middle in the NL East. Do you think the Yankees haven't, before we get back to the Mets, I want to flip this back to the Yankees. Do
Mhm.
you think the Yankees can somehow put together? I don't think they can win the division run out unless somehow Garrett Cole comes back. Can they make one of the wild card spots though?
I think we have a chance. I think Judge needs to get something back. He's striking out a lot. He's not seeing the ball well. People aren't scared to pitch to him. It's kind of switched between Soto and Judge. We're kind of happy that we have Soto because at least there's someone who's coming up big. I don't think it'll come back to actually to Cole. I think it's going to come down to the hitting. If we can finally get ourselves hitting, if we get ourselves back up to getting to really also homering out, and also Judge, getting to the spaces to when he gets up, making sure he makes those big hits. I think we can have the division. It's gonna be hard with Baltimore. They've got 2 young guys that are just wow to watch them play. It's just really nice. It's amazing just as a baseball fan to see them play. As much as we know the Orioles are in the division, but to watch them is really nice. But I do think we have a wild. I think we're making the playoffs. I mean, unless something really happens, injuries hit us like they have in the past years. But I think we do. Yeah, I think we definitely have a wild card spot. Um, but we,
Okay,
we got to
so
get
we're
things together, hitting like Stanton, Judge, someone.
always good to pay $39 million for somebody who can't hit above 225.
Oh my God. I thought about telling them, listen, if you need to pay a lot of money to someone who can't hit, just call me up.
I've said that. I said when Francisco Lindor, not Francisco, when Francisco Alvarez went down, I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and just put a chair behind home plate so I can sit there. I don't know if I can get in that crouching position anymore.
I have a
Now we're
question.
gonna
I have a
flip.
question. Can I flip a
Uh,
question to you? How do you as Met fans are able to see games when they're only like the attendance is like 20 to 30 people?
Making a little cut. I get to see every game, whether it's via my computer, my phone, or my TVs. The Mets are on every night, and then my wife and I will go to the shows until like 1 in the morning if we have to. But the Mets are my culture. I grew up loving the Mets, and the Mets are sitting right now in the middle of the NL East. Nobody had the Mets really making a run. However, between Severio, Manea having great starts to the season. They're gonna get Kodai Senga back. Alonso is hitting. Lindor is the one who's actually like the Mike Stanton of the Giancarlo Stanton. I apologize,
Being
the
called.
Giancarlo Stanton of the Yankees. He's there. He's starting to wake up a little bit. His fielding, it's a different situation. But I believe that the Mets can get Kodai Senga back. The Mets have a good chance to make a run at the wild card. They'll be there. I don't know if they'll be able to make the push because you got teams like Philadelphia, San Diego, San
Yeah.
Francisco,
Right.
And then you got teams like the Brewers and the Cubs. So right now, you can't really say who's going to win what. You're 1 month into the season.
Oh, of course.
But once you get to that trade deadline, you start seeing where teams are going to start making their push. Whether the Yankees go out and get pitchers or the Mets to do the same thing if they're in that type of situation. Going to that point, on to our next point. If you could trade for one player without having to give up, meaning if you could pick one player in the MLB and it can't be Shohei Ohtani, we both can't
Okay.
pick Shohei Ohtani
Okay.
to add to your team, but that player would have to go in and take the position of somebody else. Who would you take and why?
Oh, wow. Well, if I can divide into two, all right, I'll look short term and long term. All right. Because if I'm looking on it short term, I want Trout. Because if I want to win this year, and I move Judge to a Trout can play instead of Verdugo, and then you got that Trout Judge, I guess Soto outfield, and or Judge goes to the DH. I don't know. Stanton plays once. I don't know, something like that. But just Trout is one of those players that just brings a good vibe. He's out there, he plays, he does well. He's got those another 1, 2, 3 years maybe, and that's it. And I guess that's something that um he's wanting to win that World Series. He's got that drive. He's got that push that he wants to win. So that's someone I mean I would love to see in a Yankee uniform. I've been waiting for that for years, but it never happened. I hated the A-Rod thing, but Trout I think would have been great. I mean he was definitely great. And long term, they got you got that I forgot his name now. That kid from the and Conardo, something from the
Encarnacio
Reds,
Strand from Cincinnati.
Cincinnati of the Reds. Wow, he looks amazing. He runs the bases. He plays he plays at 130%, even if he's gonna ground ball to the pitcher. He'll run that out. So I mean, that's someone who can electrify that whole team. Just from getting a single and scoring by himself, stealing, and bring a run in. So those are people that looking long term. You got Torres, and you got Volpe, and you got Judge is still young, and you got a good core that could also be great for the next 6 to 8 years looking forward. So I think those would be the two guys I'd be happy to see.
Okay. So if it was me, I'm going to take your way and doing the short term and the long term way. As a short term, I would like to have Cody Bellinger. I love the kid. His first year with the Dodgers obviously was amazing, and then the fallout happened. I think the problem was he just wasn't given the right coaches, and then he comes to the Cubs and has one hell of a resurgence here. Not anywhere near what he put up in LA, but he's having a decent year this year to start out. So I would love to see Cody Bellinger in this lineup. If I'm going long term, it has to be at third base. Look, as much as I like Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos, they're homegrown guys that come up all the way through the system. And Beatty, we know Beatty can hit, and we know Vientos can hit. But some of their fielding is good and some of it is bad. And if you want to give me someone long term, I'm going to take Ellie De La Cruz out of Cincinnati as well, and I'm going to put him at third base. His fielding is also, I mean, he's currently a shortstop, but he has played third, so we would have to see. But this is probably the most electrifying player in baseball today. I mean, if we were to end this, if we would just give him the Rookie of the Year honors now, it would make sense. There is no reason not to think he wouldn't be. Would you agree on that, Omer?
No, completely. He's electrifying. I love people or players that just go all out. Doesn't matter what happens. It's kind of, I guess that's what baseball is about, right? It's not about walking down the because you flight out. It's about running. It's about creating. It's about showing everyone that you can create. You can make it a one-man game, right? So baseball, to make a one-man game is hard, but player that does that, I think it's a franchise player.
Yeah, and when you watch this kid run the bases,
Yeah.
it, his stride is so smooth, and it kind of reminds me of when Ricky Henderson used to get on base back in our
Um,
time, and whoops, I disappeared there. That look when Ricky, was going to steal, and it was undeniable. No one could throw out Ricky Henderson.
right.
I don't think many people have a chance to throw out Ellie De La Cruz either.
If you, I don't know if I've looked at how he runs out of the box. He exits the box like, you know, I've never seen someone shoot out so fast. It reminds you
He
like
gets
Barry
out. It
Sanders
doesn't
shooting
matter
out
if
of the
it's a
backfield.
pop up or a ground ball either.
He's shooting out. It's just crazy. I mean, but
He
yeah,
reminds
I
me of
mean,
Brandon Nimmo in that way. No matter what, he's
mm,
always running. Brandon
right.
Nimmo doesn't walk the first. He runs just like Ellie De La Cruz. Um, Now Omer knows he's got the World Series championships on me, and I have really no way to say much about it. You know, but there is a topic that goes around in American baseball, and Omer knows very much about it, and that's the situation of Pete Rose. And I wanted to
Mm,
get Omer's opinion on it because this is an opinion we don't have. We've had our own opinions here at the network on what should be done and how it should be done. Omer, we know that Pete Rose is probably the best hitter ever to have played baseball. No offense to Ichiro, no offense to anybody who eclipsed the 3,000 hit mark, but I don't think anybody could ever do what Pete Rose did. And he did. He admitted he bet on baseball and he got banned. Now, with every day being a commercial for DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, whatnot, Fanatics now even has one. What should be done about Pete Rose? What is your opinion on what should be done here?
well, I mean, Pete Rose has been different to Barry Bonds and all those other players in the end. Didn't do something that created him to become a better athlete, a better hitter, a better player. I think in the end, he made a mistake about betting on something that in the end really didn't have much to do with his numbers. So yeah, sure, it's something that's tainted him and it's something that's problematic, but I don't see it as a symbol of somebody doing something that created a difference in the game. So if you ask me, Pete Rose, his numbers and his legacy should be in the Hall of Fame. For sure. I mean, if LeBron James, you now found out that I don't know, he bet in back in the day on his games in Miami. So what? What that made him a better player, or that what's brought him the championships, or Michael Jordan? I don't think so. You wouldn't. It's not like Barry Bonds. It's not like Roger Clemens. It's not that these people he took something that enhanced him to become something better, and than other people. Um, and it's I really do think Pete Rose deserves to be there. He's probably one of the greatest hitters, if not the greatest. And the greatest ball players. He's like one of those ball players. Like the '80s. It's like that's what they were. There was no social media. There's no. I'm sorry. No about being cute about it. He came out, hit the ball. And I think baseball is known as one of the hardest things to do in sports is to hit a baseball. I don't think there's anything harder to do. So to do that and due to how many times he's done it, yeah, I think he deserves to be there. I mean, again, love to hear your take, but if you ask me, I think he deserves it.
See, the whole thing is when it happened. The funny thing is, he never bet on his teams to lose. He was always
Exactly.
betting on them to win. So Marge Shot had him ousted, and he was banned by MLB. Now you have the Shohei Otani thing. This whole mess. I
Right.
don't know how much you've heard on it. I'm sure you've
Oh, of
heard.
course, of course,
I'm
of
sure you've
course.
heard plenty. There's more coming to light on how the bookie got the money, that it's going through casinos, that they would putting in cash, get chips, and then give the chips to the bookie, and the bookie would then go take the chips and get the cash. And that's how they were filtering the money through. There's a lot of problems going on, but Shohei Ohtani has come out and said he did not bet on baseball. He said he did cover Ippy's losses, but he only said there was a $4.5 million cover loss. No, there's been reported of the amount of money that this guy bet was well over $100 million. And there's all of it's been accounted for except for $25 million.
Right.
And so there's a lot more investigation into this. But if Shohei Ohtani is connected to it, I mean, you're talking about a $700 million player who has his contract deferred until the next millennia. But if
Which
you don't
also,
put
by
Pete,
the way, is crazy. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I'm saying that whole defer thing is crazy because that the whole system that they've created for that people to do that, to run now, a salary cap of $2 million, so he can win a World Series to bring other players who are just as expensive. And then when he moves back to Japan in 10 years, who's gonna,
Right,
he's in
all that
Japan,
money
he's
comes
have
to him. Then he
exactly.
ruined Bobby Bonilla Day. Bobby Bonilla Day was an MLB tradition because Bobby Bonilla
Totally.
started it first. Now everybody's doing it. Everybody's ruined
Exactly.
Bobby Bonilla Day. But
Ivan, Allen Iverson. Yeah.
yeah, AI. I mean, it's not a not it's not that it's not a smart thing to do. It's just crazy. But if Shohei Ohtani is found out somehow connected to it, how do you not ban him from baseball?
I think you have to just because of Pete Rose. I don't think you should, but what's funny is in the end, you have, like you said, DraftKings, FanDuels, all these things are literally telling people bet all the time, you know, and then you have these players bet that have nothing to do with their games. So who cares? I mean, again, let them bet on different sports. Let them bet on things that have nothing to do with them. On the contrary, bet on them winning. Sounds great to me.
Yeah,
Why not
absolutely to me.
add another level to the game? Have Judge bet on himself hit a home run.
He
I'd
might
love it.
actually do that.
Exactly. May not strike out 4 times a game.
And get that golden sombrero. You know, but that's the solution to what I'm saying. If Shohei Ohtani is somehow found connected, and I really hope he isn't. I really hope this guy stole from him and he's going to get his just due
It's
deserved.
kind of icky,
But I have a feeling there's
Stole.
going to be a connection somewhere. And I think the only way to make it go away is to just say we put Pete Rose in and we abolish it this and we say you can bet on other sports as long as you're not in your team complex. And that's pretty much what it is. You can the whole thing started really with Calvin Ridley with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was taking a year
No, it's
off for
Atlanta.
family reasons,
Right.
but he
Yeah.
was he was in the locker room when he placed the bet and then he got suspended another year.
Right.
There's got to be a little bit of give and go. But the only way that this is a fair way is either you're going to ban Shohei Ohtani and you're going to take the face of baseball out of baseball. And that's not going to bode well. Or you're going to all have to swallow your pride and say, look, let's just give Pete Rose what is done. Let's give him the honor that Ted Williams got, if we all remember that All-Star game when he was brought out in his wheelchair and everything for his last and final moments before passing away a few months later. Let's give Pete Rose the same treatment. Let's get a statue. Let him get into Cooperstown and let's end this whole debate already. Would you agree?
I completely agree. The only thing I think is that there are a lot of American baseball fans that would be more than happy to see Ohtani not there anymore because then everyone can bring back Mike Trout as being baseball's face in America. But
Yeah.
other than that, I agree with you completely. It's hard for me to imagine that he has no knowledge. I mean, come on, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars running around. I mean, there's no way. How do you not know about this? It's like a CEO saying, "Yeah, I had no idea we were backdating." It's Enron and stuff like that. I don't know, whatever. But I'm not going to get into that. But
Yeah.
it just sounds a little crazy. People not knowing
right.
You know what's
And a
underneath.
guy who makes $700 million, if it was $4.5 million, yeah, I
I get
probably wouldn't know that.
exactly.
But you're talking about 25 million, and then you're talking about $100 million in bets. So,
No,
as I said, the only way this should be resolved is by doing that, and that's how you make it go away. But now we come to a very important topic in the world of baseball. See, growing up in Millwood, New York, it's a small town. You went past Rockies, you were out of Millwood. So Millwood is basically a 2.5, 3 mile town, known for Rocky's Deli and Vanessa Williams. That's what we're known for. That's the Millwood legacy,
exactly.
Rocky. But this guy and I went through everything from T-ball to Little League, to traveling teams to everything. Omer was not a catcher. What did you play, Omer?
I was first base.
You were a first baseman. I was a catcher. We both played as long as we did. I don't know if you played old man softball in Israel like I did here, but
I did a bit, but you know, kids and stuff and things in life
it made
kind
you
of.
made you look bad like they made me look bad. Yeah, yeah. 18-year-old kid came up and hit a bomb. I'm hitting a line drive to left field, and I'm like, yeah, not working. But we go as long as we did. But who was better, Omer? Who was the better ball player? There was never a day we weren't working between whether it was you throwing to me in the front yard at
Oh,
116 or in the
totally.
backyard or literally literally out on that roadway on Hidden Hollow Lane that you had
We'd
that
have
whole
your brother pitching, and I'd be hitting or playing outfield. You'd be catching. Definitely, I remember the days. I remember, you know, us being on your driveway, you know, playing,
yeah, hit
hoping
the
not
ball
to
to the
break
top of the driveway over the trees.
somebody's car.
Yeah,
But
the Irwin's car, if you remember, we
yeah,
poked that one once.
into the pond, into the Irwin Pond, if you remember the
Into the
Irwin
Irwin
Pond.
Pond a couple of times. Yeah. See,
Exactly.
we did it better than the San Francisco Giants. We had the pond before they
We
had
actually
the
created it. I think they stole
yes.
our idea, if you
They
ask me.
same thing with Kansas City that has the fountain and the Angels have the water down the rocks. This was all our idea.
Exactly. It
It
all
was our
started in
fault
the
we didn't
80s
patent
with
it.
us.
Yeah, we didn't patent it. That was our mistake. But you're going to hear two completely different opinions. We're going to let Omer go first. Why do you
Oh,
think you
listen,
were the
I
better
mean,
ball
come
player?
on. When it comes to hitting, I mean, come on. I think we know who was able to launch the ball a little farther. But definitely, I mean, come on. You were one of the. I mean, Mike Piazza. I think we could have been scared from you coming up behind him, or Gary Carter. You know, you had great people to learn from. Definitely one of the. I mean, come on. You're one of the top catchers. You had a rocket of an arm. I remember football. You'd throw the football. You had one of the better arms. We tried to run and catch the ball, but that I mean, if we gotta break this down in the end, I think I got the hitting part a little stronger.
Omer was definitely the better hitter. There is no deniability about that. I was never known. I was known for my defense.
Yeah,
I was basically I was the Ray Ordonez as a catcher. I could throw anybody out. I couldn't
yes,
hit the broadside of a barn. But Omer is right. We came up during a time where we had more opportunities to go farther than what kids do have today. If you look at the count, only less than 6% of all minor league players actually step on a field in the major leagues. And then you have to figure about the next 50,000 kids who don't even make it in to the minor leagues and go out there and do all the things right. But for every Pete Alonso, there's a Ronald Acuna. And then for the next one, you have the next one. There's always, no offense to any kid out there, there's always somebody better. And Omer and I watched that as there were kids in
yeah,
our grades. Jesse Kernet, if you remember,
yeah, of
used to
course,
be able
the
to
redhead,
crush a ball.
the
Rupek
of course,
Ahuja, Rupert Kahuja came up. Everybody used to go for the Bell School. Used to go at the fence. I
Right.
mean, but back then, the drafting wasn't like it is now. Now there's so many analytics that go into it that kids have less of a shot than they ever had. So Omer's right. I could have been right there at Shea Stadium, but I'll be honest with you. He could have been a DH in the major leagues. Don Mattingly would not have given up his spot. I'm sorry. He would have had to have been the DH then. Don Mattingly was not going to give up his spot at first base.
Nah, I would have I would have taken Mark Teixeira's spot. Win a couple World Series with Jeter.
There you go. See, one of the
No, but
greatest things about being able to do this podcast, and this is not only going to be the only one we're doing,
no, I
this is our
hope not.
first one, and we're going to be doing this as a series, and it's going to, as we called it, it's called Coast to Coast because that's what we are. He's
Yep.
on one coast. He's far West Coast, I'm far East Coast. That's how it is right now, and I love it. And what's even better is I get to connect with somebody who was there wasn't a day during the week that he was not at my house. There wasn't a day during the summer we weren't out playing or doing something. There wasn't a time when our families weren't joining together for holidays and stuff like that. And getting the opportunity for this, thank you, God, for technology, getting the opportunity to do this and be able to be, and as I said, no offense to family, friends I have out there, but this gentleman owns a special place in my heart and always will, as he will always go down as my best friend and brother forever. And this is just the start of a great series in which, if Omer, you have friends who want to come on an episode, I have friends who are going to want to listen and maybe talk to you. I mean, especially from
I
the
love it.
network.
Love it.
And we're going to do this. We're going to start it off slow. We're going to do it hopefully bi or tri-monthly. As I said, timing is always the hardest thing because I'm 1 o'clock here in the afternoon and Omer's there right now at almost 9 o'clock at night. So it's a little easier for Omer. But I got a 4-year-old running around, but he's such a good kid playing Roblox right now. So we love Troy, and Troy is even part of
Definitely.
the network. So but
Great name.
well, you know why he was named Troy.
Of course. Trust me, I know.
You
You
know
don't
why.
want to
And then
know what I wanted to call my son. My wife wouldn't allow.
I'm curious. What was the name you got?
you know, I wanted to give him a middle name Donnie, but it didn't work out well. Donnie
But
Baseball. What can I tell you? Grew up
yeah,
on it.
oh, yeah, and Troy is named after my favorite Dallas Cowboy and
Yes,
mentor, Troy
indeed.
Aikman. So, as I just surprised my mother with a big fat head on her wall in her basement that she painted when she came back from her vacation. And she can't take it down. My mother's a diehard Giant fan. She can't
I
take it
I
down
know.
because it reminds her of her grandson. So I won there. What you're going to see from us is, as I said, tri-monthly. And as we pick up speed, hopefully we can do this as a weekly thing. Obviously, that it all depends on Omer's work schedule and what his family has going on, if they have vacations, what my kids are doing at night. We have to remember we might be young in spirit and face right now, but we also have little kids that we got to attend,
Bro,
whether it's concerts or recitals or hey, let's go out for ice cream, But this is
definitely is.
an exciting series that we're starting. I'm looking forward to it building up more. I'm looking forward to being able to do fun things. Be sure to look for us at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for all your blogs and vlogs. You can find us on Facebook. We're on X. Also, the Dugout of Millwood, which is the sponsor, which is the baseball card store, is looking into doing a lot of stuff with Fanatics. So we'll be keeping you posted on that. For all
Cool.
now, I want to say thank you very much to, let's call him what he is first, Omer Barzilai. But he's
Thank you
got
for
the
having me.
title right. He's got the title right. The Rangers did sweep it 4-0. He's got the title right. So Mike Rifkin is a very happy guy, as Mike is our big hockey. Well,
Oh,
Mike,
okay.
Noah, and Nate are our big hockey guys, but Mike's the big Ranger fan, so he's gonna love to see this.
Nice.
Omer, thank you for your time for this first episode, and we'll
Yep.
all catch you on the flip side. And have a
Thank you
great
for
day.
having me. Thank you for
Oh,
having
you're
me. It was
very
great.
welcome.
Amazing, amazing to see you. And everyone's really lucky to hear you and to see you. And really, it's amazing that you've created what you've created. And I'm so happy that
Well, in
it's
all
brought us together.
fairness, Lawrence Patchman Lang, Bill Corpus Crispy, because he couldn't get Corpus Christi down. So he ended up with the nickname Corpus Crispy. That's Bill's name. And Danny Boy Reginald were the original founders of the network. They brought me in. So I
Okay.
want to give them that credit, at least, because Omer didn't know, in all
All right.
fairness. But it's their network that I am a big part of. But without them and out all the help and out all the greatness we have from our writers to our blogs, our network is growing. Check out Rudy Campos and Sweep the League along with Alamo City. And again, we're gonna catch you on the flip side. Maybe we'll do it when it's 8 a.m. there and it's 8 p.m. here. Maybe we'll try to do that on a
We'll
morning.
find something great. I'm sure we will.
Take care, all. Have a nice night.